Question 1. Klaus paid $448 for two identical phones during a Christmas sale. If there was no sale going on, how much more would he have to pay for the two phones? So this is the discount list. And let's first change the percentage to fraction. 10% will be 1 out of 10, while 30% will be 3 out of 10. Okay, so originally the price is worth 10 units. And then for the first phone, it's 1 unit lesser. So you paid actually 9 units for the first phone, while for the second phone, you paid 3 units lesser than the original 10. Hence, for the second phone, you only paid 7 units. So in total, 16 units is equal to $448 because this is the discounted price Klaus paid for the two phones. Hence the first step. 16 units is equal to $448. Next, for the 1 unit, we're going to take 448 divided by 16 to get $28. So the question wants us to find how much more would he have to pay for the two phones if there was no discount. So actually we are essentially finding out the discount amount. The discount amount is actually 1 plus 3 units, which is 4. Hence the next step. Amount of money Klaus would have to pay for the two phones if there was no sale. Alright, so the amount of money is actually $28. This is for 1 unit. We're going to multiply it by 1 plus 3, that is 4, to find a total discount. So 28 times 4 is 56 times 2. That will give you $112. Question 2. Mr. Tan sold 480 bottles of milk in February. This was a 20% increase compared to the number of bottles of milk sold in January. The total number of bottles of milk sold in March had decreased by 25% compared to the number of bottles of milk sold in February. What is the total number of bottles of milk sold from January to March? So for this question, it's quite a mouthful, but we're just going to tackle it one sentence at a time, one information at a time. So first sentence, Mr. Tan sold 480 bottles of milk in February. This is quite easy to understand, so we're going to move forward to the second sentence. This was a 20% increase. Let's change the 20% to fraction. 1/5. Now the first word this refers to February, isn't it? So this refers to February, which in turn refers to the 480. Alright, so 480 was a 1/5 increase compared to January. So this 480 is already the 1 unit increase. From what? From the 5 units in January. Remember, this fraction, the denominator always belongs to the item or object they mentioned after the percentage given. Okay, so January is 5 units and February was 1 unit increase from the 5 units, which means this must be 6 units. Okay, so we're gonna figure out, let us write first, 6 units is equal to 480. And then 1 unit is equal to 480 divided by 6 to give you 80. From here, we're going to figure out the number of bottles of milk sold in January. Since January is 5 units, right? So we're going to times 5. Number of bottles of milk sold in January, which is 5 units again. So 80 times 5. That will give you 400. Moving on, let's look at March. All right, the total number of bottles of milk sold in March had decreased by 25%. In this case, it's a quarter. Let me replace the 25% with 1 out of 4. All right, 25% is a quarter. So what this means is, in February, it's 4 out of 4. And in March, it decreased by a quarter. So in March, it's actually 3/4 of February. How do we find 3/4 of February? We just take 3/4 times 480. That will be the number of bottles that is sold in March. For the next step, number of bottles of milk sold in March. It is 3/4 of February, so it's 480, and that will give you 360. Hence the final step, we just need to add them up together. Total number of bottles of milk sold from January to March. January 400 plus February 480 plus March 360 to give us the answer 1240. Question 3. Ren bought a computer for $1,836 after a discount of 15%. He also bought a tablet at a discounted price of $208. The total discount for the computer and the tablet was $376. What was the percentage discount given for the tablet? Let's change the percentage to fraction. So 15%, it's 3 out of 20, which means originally the total price, the original price for the computer is 20 units, and the discount of 3 units, which means this 1836 is just 17 units. Okay, again, originally the computer is worth 20 units, so after a discount of 3 units out of the 20 units originally, so you're left with 17 units. So first step, 17 units is equal to 1836. Obviously, the next step is to figure out 1 unit. So 1836 divided by 17 to give us $108. Next, we're gonna find out what is the actual discount given for the computer, and we know that it's 3 units. So 3 units, or probably I can write it as something clearer, discount given for the computer, which is 108 times 3, right? Because it's 3 units, we should get $324. Now let's move on again. He also bought a tablet at a discounted price of $208. Okay, the total discount given for the computer and the tablet was $376. Given that we know that $324 is the discount given for the computer and the total discount given for both items is $326. So to find out the discount given for the tablet, we just take 376 minus 324. Hence the discount given for the tablet. We just take the total discount for both items minus the discount given for the computer. We should get $52. Next, moving on. The next part is to calculate the percentage discount. The percentage discount is actually the same as percentage decrease. We need to find out the percentage decrease given for the tablet. Discount is actually decrease, isn't it? Since you are paying lesser. So maybe I can write it above. Percentage discount is exactly the same as finding percentage decrease. So we just use the formula that you learned. The percentage decrease, we need two things. Number one, the decrease amount, in this case, the discount amount, which is $52. And then for the denominator, we need the original price for the tablet, which is 208 plus 52. So let's find out the answer. Percentage discount given for the tablet. So there's a fraction times 100%. What we need to do is to write down the discount amount here and the original amount here. So discount amount $52. 52. What is the original price for the denominator? 208 plus 52 to get the original. 208 plus 52. And you key these into the calculator, you will get 20%. Okay, remember, do not write this percentage symbol, do not key in this percentage symbol into a calculator. This is just like any other units like kg, meter, cm, things like this. Okay, so 20% is the answer. Question 4. Tank A, B, and C were each filled with some water. The volume of water in tank A was 25% that of tank B. Then 20% of water in tank A and 50% of water in tank B was transferred to tank C. In the end, the total volume of water in tank A and B is 252 liters, while the total volume of water in tank C is 236 liters. Find the volume of water in tank C at first. Before we start, we're going to change all the percentage to fraction. Now, I could easily pull it out and then write the fraction above, but it's going to look very distracting. So I'm just going to cover it and replace it with the fraction. Even though you can't do this in exam, covering, erasing the numbers given and replace it with your own. But, like I said, this is for your learning. So to make things easier for you, I'm just going to replace it. So a quarter, then 20%, it's going to be 1 out of 5. And for 50%, it is going to be half. Okay, so now we can read the question again. So at the first sentence, well, each tank there's some water inside, so we can move on. Then next one, the volume of water in tank A was a quarter that of tank B, which means tank B is 4 units, tank A is 1 unit. Okay, remember whenever there's a fraction in between two items, all right, the numerator will belong to the name, to the item mentioned before it, and then the denominator will belong to the item mentioned after the fraction. So tank A, 1 unit, tank B, 4 units. So when we have a fraction question, now it's a fraction question, am I right? We can either choose to do a model or ratio table. So by and large, if the numbers are very small, we can just draw model. It is much better to see it in terms of model drawing, in terms of units. But if we're gonna do a lot of cutting up of the models, 10 units, 20 units, it's gonna be very messy. So it's better to do ratio table. So for this question, all right, I can foresee that we need to cut it up. So I'm gonna use a ratio table. Over time, as you practice along, you're gonna build your mathematical intuition. So you will be more experienced at discovering which is a better method, fraction, drawing the model or ratio table. Okay, so we're gonna do tank A, B, C. And then we are going to have the before, change, and after. Most of the time I wouldn't need a change row to appear because most of the time I'm only interested in the before value and the after value. But for this particular case, for this question, the change value is important. So I'm going to introduce this change row. So like I said at the beginning, for A it's 1 unit. And then for B it's going to be 4 units. This is the ratio. After that, 1/5 of the water in tank A. 1/5 of the water in tank A. This is 1 unit. To get 1/5, it will be 0.2 units, isn't it? Which is usually we wouldn't like to deal with decimal for fraction, all right, for units in general. So I'm going to change to an equivalent fraction or equivalent ratio such that I will get a nice number when I remove 1/5. So the best number that I can get is actually from 1/4, 1 to 4, I'm going to change it to 5:20. 5 units to 20. This way I can remove the 1/5. So 5 units, remove the 1/5. I'm going to minus 1 unit. So at the end, I'm just going to be left with 4 units. After that, half of water in tank B was transferred to C. So half of this, which is minus 10 units. And then I'm going to left with 10 units. So how much water was transferred to tank C? 1 plus 10, 11 units. So I'm going to write plus 11 units. Moving on, in the end, the total volume of water in A and B is 252. So 252 is over here. And for C at the end, we know that it's 236 liters. So I'm just going to probably write it down, 236 liters. Okay, so we have everything filled up. We just need to find out this, which is quite straightforward now. Let me minimize here. We know that 14 units is 252 liters. So 14 units is 252 liters. From here, we're going to find out 1 unit, which is 252 liters divided by 14 to give us 18 liters. So for every unit here, every unit is 18 liters. Let's find out how much water was added to C. Once we can figure out the value here, we just need to subtract it, work our way backwards to find the answer. So for, maybe I can write it down here, 11 units will be 18 liter times 11, that is 180 plus 18, 198 liters. This 11 units here, I'm going to replace it with plus 198 liters. To get to the answer, just work our way backwards. Volume of water in tank C at first. At the end, 236 liters. Since 198 liter is added, we're gonna subtract 198 liters to find out the answer, which is 38 liters.